The Golden Week break is over, which means there's a new Kagurabachi chapter to talk about. Now, I wasn't expecting another color page, but this one looks clean. It's basically a recreation of the final panel from the last chapter. So, the fact that we got back-to-back color pages is very promising. Kagurabachi is doing pretty good in Japan, sales-wise, and I think it's safe to say that the series is here to stay. I don't see any cancellations for it in the future. Which is great because, honestly, everyone's just been really concerned about whether it's going to be cancelled or not. But honestly, I think it's safe. I think we finally moved past that fear. And now, I think the best thing we can do now is just to continue to look forward to new chapters and hopefully see an anime adaptation in the future. I know it's a little too early to be talking about an anime adaptation, but, you know, it's something to really think about. Now, let's talk about the chapter itself. So, Chihiro continues his fight against the leader of the Hishaku, breaking free thanks to Cloud Gouger. Chihiro immediately strikes him, cutting off his arm. This man is not playing around. He wants him dead, because after that Chihiro continues to strike him. The leader praises Chihiro on his speed and power, saying that he had to sacrifice his arm just to keep up. But Chihiro realizes that he did all that with a level head. And that's true. He shredded his arm like it's nothing. Dealing with a guy like that requires to have to give it your all. Meanwhile, the wall trapping Chihiro there recovers quickly. If he's gonna destroy it, he's gonna have to do it in one blow at full strength. But here's the interesting thing though. Cloud Gouger is nearing its demise. It won't last much longer. I'm guessing Chihiro can only use a few more attacks with it before it basically becomes unusable. Now, Chihiro also realizes that the leader hadn't used a sorcery. It could be because of the tree, or something else. Either way, he needs to break free and help Shiba and Hakuri. Then we get this sick panel of the guy telling Chihiro if he wants to continue, with Chihiro responding saying, "I'll kill you." This is where we then move on to Hakuri and how he's faring. He's sadly getting kicked around by his older brother, Soya. His brother just keeps telling him that Chihiro's using him, but Hakuri knows that he's not like that. This is where we see a flashback to Shiba talking to Hakuri. He tells him that he can use Iso. Everyone is capable of using sorcery because spirit energy lies dormant in everybody. There are more benefits to refining your abilities than just being able to use sorcery. It strengthens your body. By skillfully circulating spirit energy in your body, you can obtain superhuman mobility and defensive capabilities. Beyond that, there's sorcery. And Chihiro says, in other words, in order to use sorcery, you need a strong body. With Shiba saying on that note, it wasn't full strength, but you took the Inkatsu straight to the face and survived. I assume he's talking about when Hyuki hit him in the face in her battle with Chihiro. Either way, Hakuri says, "I passed out." But Shiba says most people would have died. He doesn't know what type of training he went with the Sasami, but he's like, if you ask me, you already had spirit energy coursing through your body. Your body is prepared to use sorcery. That's where Hakuri's like, training? In our family, we learned to use spirit energy at the age of 8. At 11, we learned to sew. But even at 11, I couldn't do what everyone else could by 8. After that, I wasn't allowed to train anymore. With flashbacks of him getting punched around by who I assume is Soya, but it could be all of his siblings. But for now, I'm just going to say it's Soya. And Shiba's like, I see. Maybe you developed it naturally for self-defense. 12 is too young to know. That's a downside of elite families. Hakuri, you have an aptitude for sorcery. And Hakuri's like, but then why? With Shiba saying, your feelings. It sounds simple, but habits are hard to break. You grew up in that environment. You were treated differently. You believed you couldn't do anything, and without being conscious of it, you put up barriers. So, to explain for those of you who really aren't getting it, or just don't know, basically what this all means is because of all the physical abuse Hakuri had received at a young age from Soya and possibly the rest of his family, he developed sorcery well. He can use Iso, but the thing is, he can use it defensively. He's basically been creating shields over the years to his body because he didn't want to get hurt as badly as he was when Soya or whoever was punching him and kicking him into the ground. And that is so sad to think about. Hakuri had been dealing with nothing but physical abuse since the age of 8. This poor guy, subconsciously, had been using barriers all over his body just because he didn't want to get hurt. that's basically what he's very well capable of, creating barriers. And yeah, he's not an offense sorcerer, he's a defensive one. And like I said, that's so sad, man. But at the same time, it's also really impressive. That means Shiba and Chihiro have something to build on for Hakuri. He can continue to improve himself. Of course, he's not a fighter, but who knows? Maybe he can use this to not just continue to defend himself, but maybe he can create barriers for others. All he needs to do now is just properly train. And I think that's really great because this just is like, it's like planting the seed for Hakuri's development. Like, he can improve a lot moving from here. Then we flash back to the present with Hakuri remembering Chihiro's words to him, saying, "The final year of the Rakuzaichi, we'll do it together." And then Hakuri stands right back up. And Soya, crying his face out, he's like, "Right? I told you you couldn't." And then boom! Hakuri uses Iso on his brother and just launches him to the wall. Now, at first I was like, well, you know, that's a start, but it didn't really do much. And even Soya's like, "But all you did was move me a little bit." And then he notices that behind him, the wall is cracking. So the plan was not to hurt him, but just to move him close enough to the wall because Hakuri knew Chihiro was going to break through it. And he was right. Like, immediately after Chihiro breaks through the wall, hits the hell out of Soya's back, and then just launches him forward, with Chihiro screaming out, "Hakuri, we've got to hurry." And then Hakuri's like, "Right, got it." And oh my god, that is such an amazing moment. Hakuri's now gotten braver. He's growing. He's becoming a much better character. And I'm not saying, like, you know, he was bad before or anything. I mean, like, in general, he's just improving as a person, as an individual, as a sorcerer. Like, this is amazing. This is such a great moment. And honestly, like, all of this, as cool as the fight with Chihiro and the leader was, like, this is the highlight for the chapter for me. I love this so much. Hakuri has gained so much trust with Chihiro, and Chihiro has gained a lot of trust with Hakuri. They are a great team, and this just establishes the fact that, yeah, Hakuri has a new family to look up to now. He's moving away from his past, and he's going to grow from here. And that is just beautiful. And then in the bottom, with the final panel, we see the leader saying, "Well, that exceeded my expectations." He's very level-headed. And then right behind him, we see Hyuki, and I'm like, "Oh, your fight isn't over yet, dog. A new challenger is coming your way." And I was wondering, where's Hyuki? Is she gonna show up? Is she just gonna continue to hold off the guys in the back while Chihiro fights this guy? No. She shows up, and it looks like she's gonna be fighting this guy next. Now, I don't know how that's gonna go. I don't know who's gonna win this, but I know we are in for a good fight. Oh my god. And yeah, what a great chapter. Chihiro reunited with Hakuri. We see Hyuki show up at the end. We have a lot to build on for the next chapter. But overall, I'm actually really satisfied with this. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm really excited for the next chapter as well, but this ended in such a good way. Like, wow. I gotta say, I really do like Hakuri now, and I actually feel embarrassed thinking about my earlier thoughts on him, because I was like, who is this guy? Why is he here? Why are we focused so much on him? And of course, you know, in any typical series, there's always like character introductions, but I wasn't really, you know, too thrilled on Hakuri's introduction. But man, like, just thinking back on that, I was a fool. And I'm willing to admit that right now, because I really like Hakuri a lot. And I said this plenty of times before, and I'm going to continue to say it. Like, Hokuzono has something really good with Hakuri here. Like, I'm really excited to see how he grows, because I think out of all the characters in the series, I think his has the most potential to shine. But yeah, this was a great chapter. Feel free to let me know what you guys thought about it. And that'll do it for me for now. Just looking forward to the next chapter. Peace out, everyone.